Hello, this is a short video about one of my favourite historical figures, a fascinating man who was very well known both at home and abroad during the 17th century, but who you've probably never heard of. His name is Valentine Greatrakes. Valentine Greatrakes was born on the 14th of February 1628 in the small village of Affane in West County Waterford, Ireland. He fought in Cromwell's army as a cavalry lieutenant in the Civil War, was a landowner of the family estate in Lismore, and was Justice of the Peace, and would later become Sheriff of Waterford. In his early 30s, Greatrakes began to feel a powerful impulse. An impulse that would haunt him during the day and in his dreams at night. This impulse was that God had given him the gift of healing scrofula, a disease associated with tuberculosis that would cause swelling of the lymph nodes in the neck and have horrific effects on the eyes, nose, skin, and often the whole body. Scrofula was also known as the king's evil, as it was believed that the king could cure the illness with his royal touch. Now, the impulse to heal continued to grow within Greatrakes, and eventually he told his wife that he believed God had given him the blessing of curing the king's evil. But his wife, Ruth Godolphin, herself a local medical practitioner, dismissed Greatrakes' impulse as imagination. A few days later, however, Valentine Greatrakes would get the opportunity to put his impulse to heal to the test. A William Mayer of Salterbridge came to the Greatrakes' residence to seek medical assistance from Ruth for his son, who had scrofula affecting his eyes, cheek and throat. Greatrakes told Ruth that they would see if his healing impulse was, as she believed, pure fancy and imagination, or, as he knew it to be, a blessing from God. Greatrakes placed his hands upon the boy's affected areas and prayed for God to heal him. 3 days later, Mayer returned with his son, whose eyes, cheek and throat showed a marked improvement, and within a month the boy was completely cured. Greatrakes then practised his healing on a woman who was riddled with scrofula for over 7 years and who doctors said they could do nothing for. She had scrofula affecting her neck, throat, nose, back, shoulders and armpits. Within 6 weeks of Greatrakes' healing, she too was completely cured. Valentine Greatrakes continued his healing practice, with people coming from all over Ireland, England and other countries too, as word spread of his healing abilities. Due to the large numbers of people attending Greatrakes' healing sessions, several outbuildings on his estate had to be converted to accommodate them. And soon Greatrakes was healing people from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 3 days a week. News of Greatrakes' numerous healings soon reached the church, and he was summoned before a bishop's court who demanded he stopped his activities. Despite ignoring these demands, no further action was taken against him. But let's be clear, Greatrakes had nothing to gain from his healing practice. He didn't charge for his work, but he had everything to lose, including his life. The healing of scrofula by touch was the remit of the king himself, and could have seen Greatrakes hung for treason. These were also the times of witch hunts and witch executions, with, for example, 9 white witches who claimed to be able to cure epilepsy and other ailments being executed in the Midlands. So Greatrakes' actions could have had serious consequences for him and his family. Greatrakes continued healing for around 5 years, feeling the impulse to heal ague, a malaria-like illness, and then to heal all ailments. He wasn't always successful in his healings and in fact failed to prove his abilities when summoned to do so before the court of King Charles II. Nevertheless, he persisted, and his healing successes were witnessed by many notable people of the time, including the father of modern chemistry and founder of the Royal Society in London, Robert Boyle, who witnessed many of Greatrakes' healings firsthand. After an anonymous debunker published a personal attack on Valentine Greatrakes, it was Robert Boyle who convinced him to publish a response in his defence, which he did, entitled A Brief Account, which contained over 50 testimonies of eyewitness accounts of Greatrakes' healings, several by Boyle himself. It is unclear why Valentine Greatrakes stopped his healing work. Perhaps 5 or so years of healing hundreds, maybe thousands of people had taken its toll on him. Alternatively, his gift may have begun to fade. Or maybe it was just too dangerous for him to continue his work. Either way, Greatrakes ceased his healing practice and lived out his years farming the land at his Lismore estate, where he died in 1683, aged 55. Despite a recent play, Blackwater Angel by Jim Nolan, the odd mention in novels and historical texts, Valentine Greatrakes has unfortunately been largely forgotten. There is a small, rather dismissive few paragraphs on the Science Museum website which has beneath it, under related links, one word: quacks. A derogatory term applied to charlatans and frauds. It's a shame that the scientific community is so closed-minded to Greatrakes and his abilities, especially as his authenticity was attested to by one of science's own founding fathers, Robert Boyle. My hope is that by 2028, the 400th anniversary of his birth, Valentine Greatrakes will not only be widely remembered, but celebrated as the remarkable man he clearly was. For if he truly did have the gift of healing, what does that say about us, and our relation to a higher power and each other, and indeed our own potential now and in the future?